Welcome to the Back 9 Six-Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to episode 56 of the Back 9 Six-Pack. My name is Mitch, joined as always by my esteemed colleague Justin. Tough scene for your boy over here today. I decided to go see an eye doctor for the first time since I was like 10. Turns out I got a slight astigmatism and my left eye is practically useless, so we're going to glasses at 34 years old.
Join us out here. I've been that way since I was like 11. And you're going to find...
pretty confident.
You're going to find that buying contacts and glasses, A, is very expensive. Let's not get around that point. But it sucks. It sucks to do it every year. So,
yeah, it sounds like it's probably been this way for a while for me. My right eye's been doing all the work. I've got 20/20 when I like look at the stuff, or you do a test and whatever. But when you go individual eyes, the left eye is just like, the right eye can read line 10. The left eye is like struggling to see 6. So that's where we're at right now. No,
maybe this will help the golf game a little bit. Never know.
I was trying to convince Susie that I was like, we're going to do the glasses just to kind of see how it might be. But I might have to go contacts and, wear them full time because I'm not wearing glasses on the course. It's not going to happen.
You have to go contacts. You have to. You just have to.
Yeah. But it was amazing when you do like the doctor's flipping the little thing. It's like, all right, is 1 or 2 better? And then it's like 3 or 4. 2 or 3, and you do all the different tests, and then he's like, all right, this is your vision. Then he flips the switch and it's like, this is what it could be, and you're like, holy shit.
I'm so blind.
Yeah,
I'm almost legally blind without my contacts in. I don't know if you knew that, but I am. I'm I can't drive. Like, dude, if I lost both my contacts away from home, I'd have to get an Uber home. That's how I'm truly that blind. Like, it's very, very, very bad.
Yeah.
Tossed around LASIK I'm going to pull the trigger eventually. I'm so terrified of getting surgery / procedure done on my eye. It's like, I don't know, something about it just doesn't sit right with me, but maybe someday.
No, I totally get it. That would freak me out too. As someone who's new to the eye problem game, that seems so far off into the distant future.
Oh.
All right. Well, appreciate you if you are here listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show. That helps us out a lot. Follow us on social media at Back9Sixpack. Look, the weather didn't cooperate, but we had a bit of a day on Friday down at Valhalla for the PGA Championship.
Well, I would say the weather didn't cooperate for the first 6 hours or so.
There was a lot that didn't cooperate that morning, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, from 3 p.m. on was fantastic weather. The sun came out. It got a little warm. I mean, it was pretty warm the whole time, but from 3 p.m. on, it was really good weather. But man, those first 6 hours were brutal. Being out there, went no umbrella. That was a mistake. Went no rain jacket. I had a jacket on, but not rain or waterproof. That was a mistake. But I think you said it best. You're like, the sooner you just accept the fact that you're wet, the sooner you're just not even going to think about it. And that's what I really try to adapt to. Around 12:30 when we started getting really poured on.
Yeah.
That's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, right around 12:30 or 1, we're sitting on the first tee, which was sweet, but we're waiting for all the big groups to come through, and it just started getting heavier and heavier, and then you're sitting down. So we were talking about how our shorts have been dry because we were standing up, and really you're taking the brunt of the water on your chest and your back. But then once your shorts got soaked through, there's water running down your back. That was when I looked at it. I was like, we just have to accept this. There's no turning back at this point.
Oh yeah, that was the low moment though. That was the low of the day. We can get into the details here in a second, but that's when I got yelled at for nothing I've done. I just looked like the troublemaker in the stands, if you remember that point. But we can get into that in a second. But yeah, other than that, fantastic day. Underrated. I saw it mentioned by a lot of people, and I 100% agree with this. I thought the crowd was fantastic. Like, tons of people out there, a lot of excitement. That's what you get. I mean, when you don't have major golf in a region once every 10 years, which is what just happened, I think the fans really adapt to it. And it was cool to see Louisville, and really I'd say Louisville and the surrounding areas, like probably Indianapolis, Cincinnati, kind of rally and get down there and really show support and buy tickets at a record amount, by the way. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially once that weather cleared out. Like, I mean, you and I, we went and walked the majority of the front nine with Jay and Grayson in the afternoon, and once you got to a certain point, like it was hard to get around. Like we had to follow that the garbage cart through the crowd in that one point.
I was directing it.
That was
like
a low key, yeah.
Yeah, you were like, "This is genius." I'm like, I was just like, look, I'm not going to do a better job than the golf cart is, so I just got behind the golf cart and followed it through the crowd. So, but it started getting really hard to move around, and you had all those big groups coming through the front nine. That's really started about like 2:00 tee times, and it was like 2 to 3 was like just all these big names. It really started to get pretty packed on the front nine, and electric crowds, by the way. I thought was really respectful. You always have those guys that are yelling out stupid shit, but I thought they were respectful, but like really enthusiastic, which is exactly what you want.
For sure. All right, I think we buried the lead a little bit here. Obviously, anybody listening to this knows Scottie Scheffler got arrested Friday morning, which being there on the grounds like was surreal with all of that going on, especially because it was like, and it was an elite golf X day, and it felt like we were right there and didn't really get to participate because we were trying to like just get our bearings and figure out what was going on. But man, oh my God.
Yeah, do you want to, like, I guess I can go through like leading up to it. So we decided that we were going to get up at 5 a.m. Like we were going to be in the gates. I think the gates opened at 6:45 or something. Like we decided like this is what we're going to do. We're going to get in there. We want to get in. We want to spend all day there. I don't remember exactly when, like we got up, and then I think it was like after like I had gotten dressed, you're like, hey, the tournament's delayed. And instantly I'm thinking weather, right? Like it's maybe they're just trying to give the grounds crew a couple extra hours to kind of get their bearings underneath them, get bunkers ready, things like that. And then we left the house thinking like, hey, let's just go get some coffee or whatever. And I think TMI, but I was in the bathroom and I like sent it. I'm like, holy crap, Scottie gets arrested. And then we find out some guy got hit down by the thing, which is why it's delayed. It was kind of wild, surreal being like a mile down the road and like all this stuff's going on. And we're finding out about it when everybody else is.
Yeah, I think just to flip flop those. So we were sitting in Starbucks and we'd already known because we walked out the door and I got the notification that was like, oh, shuttle services stopped until further notice, whatever. And they're like, new news will be up at 7. And so like I'm just refreshing Twitter trying to like figure out what's going on with the tournament and when we can get in. At this point, we have no idea there's been a pedestrian that was killed. And then you see that Scottie Scheffler has been arrested, come across from a Jeff Darlington tweet. And I was like, I double checked, like triple checked, clicked on everything. I was like, is this really Jeff Darlington? Like, is this serious? Whatever. And then your brain is like, holy shit, did Scottie Scheffler hit a pedestrian? Like, because we didn't know it was a shuttle at the time.
Yeah, that was what my mind kind of went to. Like, oh my God, he was like, this is going to be really sad because he's involved in this.
Right.
Which no one really reported very quickly that he like wasn't involved in it. Like, it was kind of like a pedestrian got hit. Like, you knew that, but then you also knew Scottie Scheffler got arrested like 45 minutes after all this happened. And no one ever came out like instantly until I think Jeff Darlington went on ESPN and was like, and you kind of started to see reports like, hey, he got arrested near there, but it wasn't for that kind of thing. But it was Yeah, there was a lot of things going through my head thinking like, oh my gosh, I think he might have been involved in that. And I'm sure there were many other people that thought the same thing.
Right. So, well, we'll cut ahead a little bit. We decide we're going to Uber up to the course because we found there's a rideshare drop off, which shout out to our Uber driver. She was awesome. Knew exactly where she was going, had waters in the back if we wanted them, gave us all the info she knew about everything. But we get up there and we're kind of just, they bring you through. There's one way in and one way out of Valhalla, which is just a horrible setup. And what led to all of the confusion and probably what, was part of, this guy was a volunteer at the tournament, like he was working for a company at the tournament or whatever. So super sad all around. But we're going through the mud, the trails, the backwoods of Valhalla around Louisville, Kentucky here. And everyone like around you is just like trying to figure out what's going on with Scottie. The tee times get delayed. The mug shot comes out while we're in line trying to get into the PGA Championship.
Yeah.
Then we find out he's getting charged with 4 counts, including a felony. And everyone's like, holy shit, is he even going to be like allowed to, is he going to get out of jail today or not? Then we hear he gets released on his own recognizance, gets to the course, apparently scarfs down some food, hits a couple balls. And then, we immediately, as we get in the gates, we're like, all right, real quick pro shop, but then we got to get to hole 10 where Scottie is.
Yeah.
So we can be on the scene, which was, I kind of thought there'd be more juice on the scene, to be honest with you. It just all felt very bizarre.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the lack of juice was the not so great logistics of getting people across the road from the rideshare area. And I really think it slowed people up because he was one of the earlier tee times. He wasn't one of the first, but he was one of the earlier tee times. And I think everybody's delay getting in there maybe kind of tampered down some of the juice at the first tee. I really thought, I was like, man, we're going to get here and you're not going to be able to hear yourself talk. That's how loud I thought it was going to be. Now look, it got loud, but not as close as not as loud as I thought it was going to be. But I think a lot of it had to do with and everybody was doing that because they lead you into the pro shop, right? Like they want you to buy stuff, then check it. And that's a process, man. We spent probably 45 minutes looking at all the stuff, bought a couple things, and then we waited in another line to check our bags because we didn't want to carry them around with all the mud. And then I just think it was just a delay of everybody getting in and kind of handling their business, doing the pro shop thing. And it was we rushed to 10T. I mean, that was the first thing we did. We went right there. So I would imagine if people behind us that didn't get as early as a start as we did, that they probably didn't even make it to the 10T, to watch him tee off. So I think that had something to do with it.
No, and I think my first shots fired at the tournament and the on the ground experience will come from the inability to use the app or anything, your phone at all, basically.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to figure out, because honestly, we were unsure. We were like, wait, is Scottie going off 1 or 10? So, we kind of started to head to 1, and then we found out, oh, shit, he's on 10. So we had to turn back the other way. So, yeah, kind of just, trying to figure, follow the tournament on the grounds was a little bit tough because of that, unless you were around leaderboards, obviously. But anyway, so, yeah, we get there to 10. The free Scottie chants are going. Everybody's rooting him on, all that. Pretty much from go, I don't think there was anybody that was siding with the cops in this whole situation.
No.
And sounds like, the latest is that, charges are going to be dropped most likely.
Which is the correct way to handle it.
Yeah. And as far as legal proceedings go, they moved his arraignment to next week. He doesn't have to be present for it, but his lawyer had a conflict. So they bumped it to next week and they're going to plead not guilty. And that's assuming charges aren't dropped before then. So that was the Scottie saga. Incredible that he came out. I think he shot 66 after being in jail for, 3 hours in the morning or whatever. Just a wild scene, honestly.
Honestly, a couple things. All that's lost in this is homeboy that became Scottie Scheffler's attorney hit the defense attorney jackpot, right? Because now, and my next door neighbor is a defense attorney, and he was like, next time you go to a golf tournament, I need you to take some of my business cards. He's like, maybe try to throw him into the clubhouse area or something. But he did. He hit the jackpot. This guy's going to do probably a handful of interviews on national television if he hasn't done one already. Jackpot, right? Like the defense attorney's dream. He's going to become famous over this. Number 2 is, the fact that he's stretching in jail, which is just, just insane in itself. And then, the 66, and Max Homa, I think, tweeted out perfectly. He was like, Lexington was a bit of a mess. He's like, I lost to a guy that literally spent a night in jail or a day in jail. So, obviously speaking about Scheffler. So, it was just a crazy sequence of events, and something that I think we're all going to be talking about for a very, very, very long time. And unfortunately for Valhalla, we're going to be talking about that for a very, very long time. So,
yeah, just to quickly correct you, you accidentally said Lexington. We know it's in Louisville, everybody.
Oh, shit, sorry. Sorry, I just try to act like that city doesn't even exist, but...
Yeah, so the Max Homa post was frustrating week in Kentucky, lost to a guy who was literally in jail Friday morning. Tough look for me. The journey continues in Fort Worth next week.
So perfect.
Yeah, Max is awesome. There were so many memes and videos and all kinds of stuff. A lot of the Office, the prison mic stuff was really good. I saw this tweet during the weekend and from a guy named Emerson Latzia. Say what you will about Louisville police, their inmate reentry program is a huge success. Just look at what this young man accomplished today after serving his time. And it's like a picture of Scottie shaking hands after a 66.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we can spend an hour on the memes that came out. I mean, literally an hour.
Yeah. All right. I think that pretty much covers the Scottie saga. We'll see how it all shakes out. But if for nothing else, the memes, the mugshot picture alone, it probably was all, all was worth it at the end of the day for Scottie.
I think this is a good time to drop this. So apparently the front nine was a bit hectic. Obviously, him coming off the whole jail thing. And this marshal walks up. We're sitting behind one tee. And he goes, guys, I'm going to ask you for your cooperation. It's been a long front nine, with the heckling and stuff like that. And he's not looking at anybody else but me, like staring me in the eyes in the front row and talking directly to me. And I'm like, apparently I look like trouble because he was like, didn't talk. And then some chick like 4 down from us said something. I can't even remember. Oh, Scottie didn't know or something like that after he teed off. And it was like, and then he looks up at me. And I'm like, that was a chick's voice, dude. Like, come on, let's move it along. I know I look like a troublemaker and I was probably about 3 transfusions deep at that point, but no need to single me out.
I was going to say, you mean the guy with 4 transfusion cups and 2 Mick Ultras in front of him?
Doesn't look like a troublemaker.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that was good. Also, the first tee before we move on, too, I text people. I was like, look, we're on one right on the rails of the grandstands. If you're watching the tournament at all, just check out ESPN and watch the big groups come through. You're probably going to see us there. And so shout out to Tyler, who caught a picture of us behind Jon Rahm on ESPN over the weekend. So that was fun. Hopefully some others out there saw, caught a little glimpse of us having a good time.
For sure.
All right. I guess we should talk about the actual tournament at this point. Xander Schauffele won. Thoughts?
Well, I think the old Xander rubbed off on Colin Morikawa during the final round. Colin did exactly what we all thought that Xander was going to do. Just kind of stay in neutral while everybody else is making a bunch of birdies and then find a way to lose. After really being by far the best player for 3 rounds. But I as much as we joke about him can't close an open door and stuff like this, I'm excited that he won. By the way, check another alphabet letter off the major championship board. Z or Xton never had a champion. First name it would started with an X. It now does. So shout out to Xander for taking care of that for us. But no, I'm happy he won, and he deserved it. He's the best player by far. Outside of a couple guys making some runs with lower rounds consistently throughout the whole week, he was the best player.
Yeah, it felt like, Saturday when he makes a double late in the round, that kind of was like the usual Sunday moment where it gets away from him. So I almost feel like, him getting that shock out of the way on Saturday was probably better for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Sunday, I mean, you could just go out there kind of, you have to go low. You've got all these guys around you, and there's good scores out there. So I think it freed him up and probably let him go get it a little more than he seems to be somebody who tries to play defense, but like he's either like going or he's not. You know what I mean? Like he gets caught between trying to like go get it and trying to protect it. It feels like.
Yeah, and that's no way to play golf. But I do feel like after he bogeyed 10 on Sunday, like what a freaking comeback, man! Like that could have easily just been the moment. Oh, here's the moment. Here's the Xander moment. Here it goes. He's going to end up losing this. And just, dude, some of the shots he hit on like 15 and 16, that pitch shot on 18 was no gimme, hits it to 6 feet. Like some of these shots, dude, there was a couple holes in a row. Like he just threw some darts from like 200 yards. You're like, all right, well, that bogey didn't matter anymore. So kudos to him for the bounce back and especially having that mental block that he's had to bounce back from that bogey on really one of the easiest holes on the course as far as how, stroke wise, how it played to bogey that hole. It could have been a complete meltdown after that. And he didn't. So.
Yeah. And I was, Nick and I were standing there. We were still at Cobblestone after our scramble yesterday, just watching the end of it. And I looked at him and was like, dude, if he doesn't make this putt, like he's never going to win a major. Cause I don't think he was beating Bryson in that playoff.
No. And man, I'll tell you, if there's never been a weekend, not to move off Xander too quickly, but if there's ever been a weekend where Bryson, like to show the reason that Bryson needs to be back in every week golf is this reason right here. Just for some people to hate, right? Like, just give us someone that really hate. But I'll tell you, like, I've been starting to like him more over the last year, and it's like this kind of showed again. While like, okay, I'm not the only one because I saw some other people tweeting it out. It's like, holy crap, I found myself rooting for Bryson, and I kind of did too, even though I wasn't disappointed that Xander won. He's just fun. He's just fun golf, man. Like he's just a big meathead out there pounding the ball around. That's what like. I don't know. That's really the only way to explain it.
Yeah, we're gonna do a quick buy or sell segment here in a second. We'll get back to Bryson. Last thing on Xander is for me, I really do feel like he's a player that like get this, the monkey off the back here. And I'm a little worried he might, tick off a few of these in the next couple of years.
Yeah. I mean,
he's got the perfect game for any venue, basically. He's already been close in a ton of them. He's like a U.S. Open savant. Like he's got just a shit ton of top 10s at the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
I think finally getting over this hump and winning one of them. Yeah, I think we might be on watch out mode here for a bit.
Yeah, at least one more. If he really gets on it, maybe two more. But the crazy stat that I saw from this week with him, the last person that hit 60 greens in regulation in a major was Xander and Tiger Woods. Actually, both have Valhalla. So I mean that's just crazy. The guy, he just struck the ball to death. I mean, he like off the tee. Everything tee to green was just phenomenal. And he's kind of one of those guys, just like Colin. It's like the putter kind of comes and goes, but man, he struck the ball so good. I don't even think his putter had to be that good this week for him to get a win. I really don't. And I don't think it was overly good. I just think he hit the ball so close to the freaking pin half the time it didn't really matter. So,
yeah, he's entered that territory of like picking up two strokes around on his ball striking, which is like the elitist of elite. So, yeah. You touched on something there. The first topic for our buy or sell segment here. Valhalla is a major championship venue. I think you and I disagree a little bit on this one. So I'll give you the floor first. Are you buying or selling Valhalla as a major championship venue?
I said this. I'm going to buy, and here's why. And the hate, I don't get the hate. Look, Valhalla could not control the weather. I'm telling you right now, there's a handful of holes out there, specifically 13, that I think would have played very, very different had it been firm. Now you're starting like 13, like, yeah, it's a wedge. Well, if a wedge with, soft greens, it's not going to hop and, you're not going to have to play a hop or anything like that. It's just going to spin back. These guys are too good when it gets this wet. Like, it doesn't matter. That course could have been 9,000 yards and they still would have been 12, 13, 14 under. Like, it was just so wet and they can't control that. I truly believe if it was firm, we would have saw probably 12, 13. I mean, realistically, a winner at 12 or 13, maybe 14. But the 20 under, the two people being 20 or more under, it was all because of the wetness. And they got a ton of rain Monday. They got a ton of rain Tuesday. Wednesday, it even rained a little bit, and then Thursday was nice, but then it rained again Friday, and there was no chance for the greens to firm up. And, I think Justin Thomas said it perfectly. He was like, when any course gets this soft, we're just going to tear it up. There's no defense. Length is not a defense. Rough is not a defense. There's no defense to any course if it's that soft. But I'm buying it. I think I will tell you the underrated part that if you've never been there for a tournament, this was our first tournament there. I thought that the viewing areas for holes was fantastic. Everything kind of, they had hills around everything. So, you could kind of layer the crowd and you could still see instead of just being like 9 deep and not being able to see anything. I thought that was fantastic. I think it's the perfect course structurally to have a tournament because there's just so much land out there. They had so much room to do just about anything they really wanted to with hospitality stuff. And, I know ESPN Bet even had like a public hospitality tent. There's just so much room out there to do that. So I think from a course logistic, and here's the thing, who cares about the final score when we got the leaderboard we got, right? Like, that's where I stand. I'm like, they could have been 30 under. We've been begging for a tournament like that all year where it's just like big name, all up there, all fighting for, at this, we just wanted it in a regular tournament and we got it in a major. So who really gives a shit whether they were 20 under or 5 under? Like, we got big names. The length of that course got us the big names that we wanted. And that's all I really think matters. That truly, you can't have everything, right? And the PGA is not the U.S. Open. You want to see carnage? Go watch the U.S. Open. That's not its MO. I wish it would have played a little less under, but, Augusta those guys score well there too. So especially when it's soft, the only difference is they have a sub-air system at Augusta where they can dry it out in 12 hours. And I don't believe Valhalla has that. So I'll get off my rant now. I'm just worked up. I thought it was a great tournament, truly a great tournament.
No, I get everything you're saying. I'm not even going to say anything you said is wrong. I think the biggest thing for me, and especially with the course conditions, to your point, and the rain, like, scoring was going to happen. It makes the fairways wider, the greens bigger, guys can control the ball better. If you were in control of your spin, like, all that's true. I think the biggest thing, honestly, for me was, like, it just felt like a PGA Tour event broke out at a PGA Championship, if that makes sense. And, like, it didn't have, like, that elevated feel or that kind of, like, unique, different feel that a major usually has. Obviously Augusta is different because it's the Masters. It's its own brand, honestly. It's its own standalone thing. But I would rather see the Players. You could tell me the Players is a major versus this PGA Championship, and I would take the Players Championship. I think Sawgrass is a better course. It tests more things. It's different. I don't know. To me, that's Valhalla just felt like a very...
Because I will tell you, for someone that's played TPC at Sawgrass and now has walked Valhalla, that's a wild take. From a course standpoint, I think TPC at Sawgrass is trash, to be honest.
Oh my gosh!
You get the island green.
You don't like Pete Dye.
No, I don't. I really don't. But I just outside the island green and the drama of that, I mean, it's an average course at best, and a lot of holes blend in. That's the thing I loved about Valhalla. I didn't think any hole was like another one. You could maybe say like 16 and 17 teetered about being the same, but like one was way uphill. But yeah, that's a wild. You're more than welcome to have that opinion, but I'm like, I don't know about that. But continue.
I think you could call it TPC Valhalla. Honestly, it very much feels like
used to be owned by the PGA. So
yeah, it just to me like, and I look, part of it could just be too, the broadcast too. Like that, CBS didn't really do anything differently that I could tell from watching it. Like the scoreboard's the same on the, it's like the same. It just didn't feel elevated at a major level, I should say, compared to many of the other events. And I mean, you're just, when you have guys like rolling out there and dropping 64 on Sunday and like it's nothing, like, I don't know, like who all shot 60? Like Billy Ho shot it. No offense to Billy Ho, shot a 64. Like Justin Rose is shooting 64s. He's been like in the wilderness all season. I just think it was like too, and they might have had, the weather might have been the real cause. You might be right about that, but it was just too benign of a setup for a major championship.
I think people are discounting the weather. I'm telling you, we've walked that course. Like there's some greens that could get really, really feisty with being firm and really having to use some imagination. But here's the thing, when it's that soft, like some of these chip shots we saw on Friday, I'm like, okay, because this is going to land soft, this makes it so much easier of a shot, where it's like, man, if it was firm, 10 feet would be a good shot. Instead, they're, kind of flying and it's like, oh, okay, it's 4 feet. That's a big difference. But by the way, so everybody was like, oh, the bunkers are so easy. Just this, and getting up and down was so easy. The tour average was 60% on the year heading into the PGA Championship. The average up and down rate at Valhalla was 55%. So it was under the tour average. So as easy as it maybe seemed, I don't know if the stats completely back that up. There were a lot of hole outs, 140 to be exact. So maybe that's where the stat kind of evens it out. Like guys weren't getting up and down, but there were also a lot of hole outs off the greens. Yeah, a lot of it, I truly, truly believe it was the rain. I mean, it was just so freaking soft. Hell, we slid down a hill on our way out. You know what I mean? Like the course was probably just as soft as that. So yeah, but I thought it played a hair too easy, but I don't think it was anything to do with the setup. I don't think it had anything to do with the course. I just think the course just became so much bigger when you have, when it's that soft. Like missed shots don't bounce and they just kind of stay there. So it really took like a very, very large miss to get in trouble. And I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, that's what my feeling was. It's just like, it felt like you had to truly do something catastrophic just to make a bogey, not even like a double or worse. Like you could get up and down from anywhere. And I think you're probably right. It does have to do with the softness. You're not getting the extra rollout. If a pin's in a tricky spot, maybe it doesn't catch a slope and go, to 8 feet instead of, 4 feet or whatever. Like those are like marginal differences that do add up score wise over a tournament.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like it set it like a PGA scoring record, a major championship scoring record. They're like just wild numbers. So yeah, I don't know. That to me, that I guess is the crux of it really, and maybe it was all weather related.
Well, what's funny is like Valhalla's taken most of the heat, and LACC's probably ecstatic. The heat that Valhalla's taking, it's kind of taking it off them from last year. But the last two majors where we saw these low scores were in the last 2 years, like historically low scores were in the last 2 years, and it was LACC and now Valhalla. LACC, I'm not really sure. I think it had more to do with like the rough just wasn't thick enough, but I think Valhalla is the softness. But I truly think like rolling back the golf ball, man, these dudes are, you get a 218-yard par three. Some of these dudes are hitting 6-iron, 7-iron. It's like, what are you supposed to do? Like make every par three like 255, 260? It's like, what do you do? They still have an iron in their hand. So I'm more of a fan of rolling back the golf ball now more than ever, because on a soft golf course, these guys were still making it kind of look like not a chip and putt, but there was a lot of wedges and 9 irons and 8 irons in hand, when realistically, 10 years ago when Tiger or 10 years ago when Rory won, and even further back in 2000 when Tiger won, like these dudes were like, I remember watching highlights. I watched it the Tuesday leading up. They did like a recap. These guys were hitting like 4 and 5 irons into these greens. I bet there were some guys out there that didn't hit a 4 or 5 iron into a green the whole week. Some of these par 4s are 5-10, like, and they're hitting 8 irons in. So I'm leaning towards the rollback even more and more as we kind of watch some of these majors unfold.
And that's a good point too. That I like think about when we walked up to hole 2 on Friday, and I was like, "Damn, this is like a big ass par 5." You're like, "Nah, dog, this is a par 4," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then you come to find out these guys are just ripping it and making mincemeat of that hole on Saturday. Like it was one of the easier birdies on the course. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I think Valhalla I think that's the real issue here, is a course like Valhalla just not being able to stand up to what these guys can do with today's equipment. And then you combine that with the wet conditions, and it's just game over.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is like it's not short. Like it's probably going to be one of the longest courses they play in the entire year, if not the longest course they play the entire year. So it's not like we're talking like, it was like the country club that played like 6,900 yards. No, I want to say on the scorecard it's like 76 or 7,700 yards. It's not short, and these dudes just made it look like a 6,400 yard chip and putt, like for the most part. And that's just absolutely insane. So, but we can get off this topic. We can move on to the next one. We could probably go all day about this, because especially since we disagree.
Yeah. We'll hit these a little quicker. Are you buying or selling Bryson's major form continuing?
Oh, 100% buying. Like this, I feel like he's kind of like one of the few from Live that I feel like is like maybe taking his game to the next level, being over there and still working just as hard. Some of these guys look like they're just not in form. They're not on the grind like they probably were when they were on the PGA Tour. Bryson legit looks like he's still fighting every week to get better. Still hate the 3D printed clubs, but I'm buying that. I think all points to him playing, the U.S. Open setting up pretty well for him.
Yeah, I'm also buying. When he showed up to the Masters and contended, I wasn't expecting him to hang in there and win by any means. Augusta it doesn't seem like a great fit for him, but if you put him on a long PGA or U.S. Open court venue, like, yeah, this setup was too perfect for him. So,
yep. Yeah,
I'm definitely buying. All right, buying or selling Victor Hovland's resurgence, which seemed to come out of nowhere.
Man, this is tough because I love Vic, but I think I'm going to sell it. It kind of seems like I don't want to call it a flash in the pan because we know how talented he is. I don't want to, but knowing where he was even like 2 weeks ago, it seems like he might have just found something just for those days. I could see him going, getting back in the U.S. Open and the next major and struggling. But it sounds like he's got one of his coaches back. Maybe he's finding it, but at least for the time being, I'm selling this.
I'm gonna optimistically buy. Actually, the rumors with getting back with the coach, I think it sounded like he's working with Joe Mayo again. And for it to flip that quickly, like that makes me think that this is like a real thing. Because apparently he's been grinding all these, not playing and all that stuff. Like he's been grinding with Joe. I just think he's way too talented to keep down for that long. And yeah, if he's back with it and they're back on the same thing they were on a year ago and the electric run he went on, yeah, I think it might be here to stay. All right, next up. I put this on here just because, he kind of was hanging around at the Masters, really in it here in the final group on Sunday. Will Colin Morikawa win a major in the next 3 years? Are you buying or selling that?
I'm gonna sell this. There's nothing like feeling like you have a chance, and I hope I'm wrong. I should say that. I hope I'm wrong. But man, that's a big mental hurdle. Thinking that it's like I've won 2 of these, going into the final round, being in the position he's being, and honestly, just flat out lay an egg. Like, what's no sugarcoating it here. Like, laid an egg. He shot 71 on a course that everybody that was in the top 20 was kind of playing under par. So I'd say at least in the time being, I'm definitely selling this. That's going to be quite the mental hurdle to kind of get over after doing that in a final round.
Yeah, I'm also going to sell. Just kind of tracking stats throughout the year. Like I know his ball striking has been down, specifically his approach, which was kind of his superpower. He doesn't have elite putting. He doesn't have elite distance. It feels like he needs the right, exact setup for his game to be able to actually like go win. He's just at such a disadvantage compared to some of these guys that are longer than him. And I mean, Scottie Scheffler is just as elite, if not more, as an iron player than him. He's longer than him. Xander, same thing. When Rory's on, he's a better overall player. Like there's just the stars have to align too much, I think, for Colin to win. And yeah, I would just trust the guys that hit a little bit longer and have a more consistent short game. So, all right, Scottie Scheffler seems like jail was the only thing that stopped him from winning this week. Will he win one of the next 2 majors this season? You think he gets a second one?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to buy too.
I'm buying this, and I think I saw enough post baby to be like, even he can get over the dad hump. Like, he's just superhuman. I think I think the shock of everything was delayed of him getting arrested. I think it didn't really set in until like Friday night, and I think it really did affect his Saturday round. I think it was just such a like tidal wave. Like he was able to get through Friday and play well, but yeah, I'm buying this. Like I think he's just too good of a ball striker with how you got to place the ball at Pinehurst and stuff like that. Like I could easily see him winning one of the next 2 for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, put this one on here. Just kind of a little thought exercise here. Which of these are you buying? Does Rory McIlroy get to number 5 first, or does Brooks Koepka get to number 6 first?
I'm still saying Brooks. I really am. I know Brooks didn't play his best this week, and Rory played better than him, but man, it just felt like after Thursday, it was like, okay, we're on to something here. Like Rory's kind of, and he's won the last 2 weeks, and man, he just hit some really bad shots when you just thought it was going to be like, this is it. And he just didn't play well when you thought it was almost inevitable that he was going to continue it. There's just something in his head, man. It really is. Like, I don't know what it is with these majors. Yeah, I would say it's definitely going to be Brooks.
Yeah, man, that seems like the odds-on favorite between the 2. Brooks and Scottie did the same thing. They both went backwards on Saturday when everyone else was like record-breaking scoring was taking place. So that kind of concerns me. I mean, I don't think Brooks is going to really win on an easier setup. Doesn't seem like his MO. But to me, it feels like Brooks is either all in and he's going to win the thing, or it seems like if he's not there from go, he just kind of fades. Versus Rory, like, always seems to hang around. He's much more likely to top 10, and maybe Brooks is more likely to win in most of these. I think I'm going to take Rory just because I think he's just going to be in position more often, and maybe finally it does break his way. I don't know. That's probably the stupidest thing. That's probably the stupidest thing I've said on this podcast, by the way.
I don't hate you standing on. You're gonna die on his hill. That's the hill you're gonna die on. I have many hills. You have one. You have the Rory finding form again in majors. That's the hill you're gonna die on.
I guess that's a really dumb hill to die on too.
Yeah.
It's like Don Quixote with the windmills.
Uh,
All right, last one here. Buying or selling Jon Rahm bouncing back in a major this year?
selling. Man, there's something
Yeah.
not right going on there. And I don't know if it's like the conscious telling him he shouldn't have gone to live, or maybe it's his peers. What seems like the rumor is he's kind of getting blackballed by some guys that are, he used to be relatively close with. I don't know if that's just like a mental hurdle he's going to have to get over, but for the time, I mean, like for the foreseeable future, until he either like just says, "Live, here's your money back. I'm coming back to the PGA Tour," or he just gets over the fact that he's just not going to be liked by people. I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean his opening presser before the tournament like was some of the most tone deaf comments I've heard from any player involved in any of this whole saga. It was unbelievable. So yeah, I'm selling too. I think, and I always thought this too, where Rahm just felt like the one guy that, like, I don't know, he, like, to your point, he was close with some of these guys, seemed pretty well respected and liked, and he seems like the guy that kind of, it's in his head, right? Like, he was the one that was going to let it affect him. Because he truly, truly wants to have his cake and eat it too. Like, that's basically what he said in that presser. So yeah, I'm with you. I think he's, until this whole thing's resolved and everybody's like back on somewhat normal terms, I don't think I see him contending in one of these.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do is like he genuinely wants to be liked, and now he's not.
Yeah.
And it's in his head. Like it truly is in his head. And I think that's most of his problem. It's not a talent thing. We know he's talented. Like he's one of the most talented guys out there. But it's in his head. Like he wants to be liked by fans. He wants to be liked by peers. And he's not either of those things right now. And that's really tough pill for him to swallow. And I think it's affecting his golf. It's definitely affecting his golf.
Yeah, I think the other side too is like I feel like he probably thought he'd go over to live and just kind of dominate, and he hasn't won yet over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like the confidence kind of chipping away on the game front too. Just doesn't seem to have it right now. I wouldn't expect him to really, really contend here.
Yeah.
All right, last thing on the PGA Championship. Your boy, is it Braden Shattuck?
Yeah.
How do we say it?
Hell yeah. Brendan Shattuck.
Yeah, Braden Shattuck. We have no idea how to say his name. He was the low PGA Pro.
Yeah,
I mean, tremendous call by you up front. I got to give it to you on that. But did you see what he ended up doing today?
No.
So he drove the 11 hours from Louisville up to play like a local section event in the Philly area and fired a bogey-free 63 to win.
Oh, my guy. He's a grinder, man. Hey, thoroughbred is what that is. That is a thoroughbred. Forever a Brendan Shattuck. Yeah, forever a Brendan Shattuck fan, by the way. Shattuck fan.
Yeah, that's amazing. Go be the low PGA Pro and then go win a section event bogey free.
Slightly different paychecks, by the way.
Yeah. Move aside, Blocky. This is Braden's world now.
Yeah, it's a Braden party.
I will say on the Blocky note, last thing, Cody and I were walking past the range and he was walking down the steps and just kind of gave him like, "Oh, what's up, Blocky?" or whatever. He was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, guys?" Like he was totally cool, super nice dude. And he was getting it from all kinds of people out there. So I respect to him. I'm sure he's a fine dude. So
yeah. I always thought he's arrogant, or he's like he's playing up to I don't know, like the aloofness or whatever. I always thought that was kind of a media driven thing. He genuinely seems like a cool guy to hang around. Maybe it's just me. I think his Rory comments were crazy last year, and he even admitted that. I think he did an interview after that and was like, "Look, I'm not saying like if I could drive the ball like him, I would be him." It was taken a little out of context, but he seems like a pretty genuine guy. I wasn't there for that interaction you guys had, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was the PGA Championship. Always good to get a major in the belt or under the belt, and definitely cool for us to go, experience, a major in person for the first time. So definitely kind of itching to get out to some more in the future.
Yes, very much.
Well documented here. We went with Rory McIlroy on our one and done pick. Kind of backdoor to a T12 for us on Sunday. About 360K into the bank. We dropped about 6 spots, but we lost a decent amount of ground. We're now 2.7 million out of the money. Leaders are way up there at this point. So at this point, we're just trying to grind back to the back half of that, the back end of the money line. Charles Schwab Challenge this week, Colonial. Fantastic track, nice classic tour stop.
Love it.
Not a signature event this year. It has held that in the past. So a normal $9.1 million purse. Still some big names in the field. I didn't look much into this. I don't know about you.
I didn't either. Yeah, not at all. Too busy.
Great, so we're doing it live.
I was too busy defending Valhalla on Twitter today that I didn't really do a lot of research and who we should take.
All right, I like it. I think I have an idea here. Do we want to go to the top, or are we cool with like a kind of punt play?
I like taking the options and something like this. I wouldn't mind taking like hey, let's take a flyer on a guy.
Okay. I'll say up at the top available to us. We still have Max left, Brian Harmon, Morikawa. That's kind of like the big 3 or 4 that we have available. It's kind of tough in terms of like, taking someone under the radar. Probably someone that fits that bill could be a guy like Austin Eckroat, who finished 16th here last year, had a good PGA Championship, has won this year. That could be one that I think, kind of goes unowned. I think he's going to be popular, but Billy Ho could be an option.
Yeah.
I think he finished 8th this week. Kind of snuck in there in the end. Feels like a good course fit for Colonial, although his history doesn't look that great now that I'm kind of looking at it. But man, I just don't really know where to go.
I was thinking Tom Hoagie maybe.
Yeah, I could see Hoagie picking up a little steam. He's a Fort Worth guy, I believe. He's a Horned Frog. Probably a pretty popular pick, but that's a guy that should fit the course. I mean,
it's
a shorter track. It's all about ball striking. Yeah.
I would say I would be probably between either Billy Ho or Tom Hoagie would be my, if I had to narrow it down out of the names that we just talked about.
Do you know who Hoagie or how Hoagie played this week? I didn't see how he finished in the PGA.
I didn't actually. I can look it up. Let me tell you here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see. I mean, this is, like I said, this is the style of track you would think he fits. His history is kind of gross here, to be honest with you, which surprises me. But it could be one of those guys that, you put in front of his friends and family and, it gets to be a weird week.
Hoagie, T23 this week at Valhalla.
Okay.
Don't hate that. Finish at -10. And I think was what I would say probably not the best course setup for him. He's not the longest guy in the world.
Look, at this point, if you're down to ride the Hoagie, man, I don't mind it. We need lightning in a bottle, to be honest. So
let's do it. Let's ride the Hoagie, man. As my dog's looking at me, because his name's Hogan, but we call him Hoagie. And every time I say it, his ears perk up. So,
all right, we just got to hope he refines this Texas Children's Open T14, RBC Heritage T18. Been a little tough since then, but like you said, good showing the PGA. Oh boy, here we go. Tom Hoagie, just put the pick in. We're in.
All right, perfect. Perfect. I like it. I like Tom Hoagie. He's a gambler. If people didn't know that, he likes to spend his time at blackjack and craps tables when he's on the road. He's got a rule. I think his wife made a rule. It's like he can only go to the casino on Friday if he makes the cut. That's like their rule for him. So, look, I dig it. I'm a gambler. I love a good casino every once in a while. So we'll ride them.
All right, that's good vibes. We'll go with it. All right. Before we head to the patio, real quick, just update on our golf right now. Do you have anything coming up? I haven't talked to you. You got any tournaments on the go here?
No, nothing. I do. I'm playing. I guess I do have one. Maybe I think it's in a couple weeks. I'm playing in a PGA section event at our course. It's a 3 pro-am. I believe I want to say it's 2 best ball, net and gross. So I'm playing in that. That's June 3rd, and then really after that is our city. Our city met, which starts at the end of June. July seems very stacked right now. July and August with events, like a couple mid-am events, and then a 4-ball qualifier, the USGA 4-ball qualifier, and then the Ohio mid-am, which is actually here in Cincinnati this year at Coldstream. So we're going to try to go back and revenge our U.S. Open round last year. I just registered for that today at Coldstream. So trying to avenge that 85 that I fired in the U.S. Open qualifier.
Yeah, I would say as long as you don't fall down into a bunker, you're good. You're better than last year.
Very low bar.
Yeah, low bar to clear. So I'm in between all that. We got to get. I know we have our annual wine outing scrambles coming up here in 2 weeks. We got to get back in the winner circle on that one. It's been a while. It feels like now we're due.
Has it been 2 years? I think maybe.
It might be 3 or 4 at this point. I feel like we haven't won it for a couple.
Yeah,
feels like it's been a minute.
Not great. Are you playing Memorial Day Scramble this coming Monday?
I told Sean I was, so I believe so. Yes.
You may show up Monday. You may be in. You maybe you won't be. You never really know. Love the guy to death, but you never know.
Yeah.
So we do have that on Monday.
Is that one where A players draft?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
You draft a B, C, and D player. I'm drafting, but I've not been told when we're drafting. I'm assuming Sunday, but maybe we'll just do it at the course on Monday.
Yeah.
Always fun. I mean, it's a good pot. I mean, I think the winner gets 1,200 or something like that, maybe 1,400. So definitely get the blood pumping a little bit. They're always fun scrambles. I think I've won one a year the last 2 years. So hopefully keep that going, but usually it's the Labor Day one I win. So I don't know what that. I guess I'm a late bloomer when it comes to the golf game. So
yeah, it's fall. That's when golf peaks, right before you head into the winter. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have to find a driving range between now and then. We've got some things concerningly developing. Just need to square some stuff away. Wednesday night at League, I was hitting like the left scud missiles, just real low and heely balls. And then yesterday, I was hitting it pretty good, but it was just everything was just blocked. I missed right all day long yesterday at Potter's, which, by the way, those greens are ridiculously small.
Yeah,
I did not realize that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a low key good Muni track. Like I think it's a really good place to learn golf because of that, right? Like if you're hitting those greens, like you're going to be hitting greens just about anywhere, which is kind of cool. But yeah, they're very tiny. Even the 210-yard par 3 is like the world's smallest green.
Yeah, golf is just so cyclical for me. It's like I was hitting it so good all spring here, could not make any putts ever. Now it's like, all right, cool, putter's fine, but now I can't hit a green. So it's like, is what it is, I guess.
Tough.
So
yeah, it's man, I don't know what it is about May golf. I just don't. my handicap, I looked back because my handicap's gone up. I'm no longer a plus. I'm actually a 0 right now. But every year my handicap goes up in May, and I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if it's just like I'm playing some events that are just tougher courses, or maybe it's just like I haven't gotten in the groove yet. But typically June's been a really good month for my handicap. And July's been the best month for my handicap in the last 3 years. So we'll see. It's nothing out of the ordinary, that's for sure. So
Yeah. No, it feels the same way for me. It always feels like the spring and May is kind of fits and starts with the game, and then you hit your stride for a month or two, and then, like I said, time to put the clubs back away.
yeah, yep.
All right, it is time. We are heading to the patio beer segment. Do you want the ball, or you want me? You know what? I'm gonna take the ball here.
Yeah, go for it.
We're gonna go first. I forget where I found this, but I saw it on Twitter, I think, literally today, and I'm excited about this one. I'm curious what your answer is. All right, here's the scenario. You have been kidnapped, but 2 hours later, your kidnapper returns you because you will not stop talking about what?
Man, there's so many that are going through my head right now. But I would probably say politics. Like, if you want to annoy somebody, the easiest way to do it is talk politics. And I would just, and honestly, like, I'm that person. Like, I would and just go completely against it. Like, that's what I would do. But yeah, that's got to be mine. Got to be. Like, I'm just good at doing it, so I could easily do it and make someone really, really annoyed. And next thing you know, they're just like, dude, I'm taking you home. Like, let's go.
Yeah. I think you might be able to get there faster if you talk Kentucky basketball. I'm sure you could really get, bore some people with some, shoulda, coulda, wouldas from the last, 15 to 20 years.
You're not wrong about that, because there's not a lot of Kentucky, like, in our area, there's people that are more annoyed by that than like Kentucky. That was next on my list, but yeah, or probably Ohio State football, maybe, being in Cincinnati, some Bearcats fans. I'm assuming that would be who would kidnap me, because you guys low life fan base. But yeah, maybe Ohio State football.
That was a low blow. Yeah, you've got a lot. That's the thing, is like when you're a fan of some of these, like, blue blood programs, or these blue blood franchises, stuff like that, it's easy to be annoying to listen to. Yeah. For sure.
What would yours be?
I mean, I feel like your mind immediately goes to sports, right? Like, that's an easy one. I definitely think, just talking tortured Cincinnati fan, like, that's kind of a bit at this point. It's, it's both a fact and a bit. So yeah, something like that. I could really go pretty nerdy into, like, some data, specifically like golf data stuff. Like, I could be talking about, the historic nature of Scottie Scheffler's strokes gained this year or whatever. That would probably get somebody to return me. Probably, I think politics obviously is one. I've got kind of more of a maybe like a nihilistic viewpoint towards things. So, like, I could get on a real, like, late stage capitalism rant, and that would probably, get me a return to sender label stuck on me. Yeah, it's got to be within that orbit of stuff, right? Like, it's just like whatever annoying sports fan thing you can do, or if you hit on one of the big, like, politics, religion, one of those things would be it.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of politics, I'm on like a congressman senator run right now. Ran into an old speaker of the House today at eating lunch, he's ripping a cig out back. Looked like he just made it off the course. John Boehner, which is, dude, I can't believe at his age he's still ripping the cigs like he does. But weird, like 3 in 1 week is, I mean, that's got to be some kind of bingo or something, right? Like, at this point, but See, like, look, I can
No,
already
these are
talk politics. Look at this.
no, you're just these are the circles you swim in now. You're just big time over here, you know. Just
Apparently, I'm in the right places at the right time. I don't know, but yeah, he actually someone made a comment to him like coming, like walking up. They're like, "You still playing golf, John?" He was like, "More now than ever." Like I was like, such an odd question to ask a guy that is literally dressed in golf clothes. But yeah, it was kind of he looked like he was fresh off of an early 18 this morning. So
yeah. One more item on the list definitely would be going through like Creed's discography or like explaining how Nickelback is actually good. Like
God,
those
yeah.
those could
Or
be
you-
some ones that could get you
or-
returned.
Or you just whip out your phone and like play every band that we like that we know everybody else claims to hate. You know, like Butterfly, that song Butterfly by God, I can't even name the band. A lot of Nickelback, a lot of Creed. Like you could get dropped off pretty quickly doing that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, I'm going to kind of take it back to a little bit of our experience at Valhalla, but also like just going to golf tournaments in general.
Sure.
We ran into some scumbags at Valhalla, a couple of them. Look, I like the Bengals, but some guy did it on Thursday. It became a thing the rest of the week. It was so annoying. You're not even in Cincinnati. Like, I get that there's a lot of Bengals fans down there, but you're not even in Cincinnati. Like, you know, that's the first thing. But the guys yelling "Who Dey" it made me think of this question: what's like the guy that's the most annoying at a golf tournament?
Yeah, I almost brought the Houday thing up earlier when we were talking PGA Championship just because like it truly like the first time I heard it like got under my skin. I do think the guy that yells after the shot, just take it all away because it doesn't really serve a purpose. It's very look at me. It's like, oh, I'm trying to get on TV or what, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that is for sure. I think that's top of the list for me just because I'm not like a call attention to myself kind of guy. And so like anytime I see that behavior in the wild, it like immediately just like triggers me.
yeah. And there's
So
nothing
that's
worse.
probably the top of the list.
There's nothing worse than an imitator as well, because the guys we heard doing it on Friday were imitators, right? Like it was funny the first time. Like you heard it one time on Thursday. It's like, oh, that's funny. And then like everybody did it the rest of the week. And that's what made it super annoying. And honestly, it's not even the Houday thing. It's just like yelling. You know, it was the mashed potatoes thing like 10 years ago, right? Like just super, super annoying. That was mine, but I think I have a new one. Never been to a tournament where it's been raining. We finally went to one. The biggest scumbag move you can do at a tournament is being on the ropes in the front row when it's 10 deep and having your umbrella up. Scumbag. Like absolute bottom of the barrel scumbag material to do that. Like, and by the way, when we pointed this out, the guy that we pointed out had a MaxFly umbrella. Just screams. I have a clip-on towel, and I wash my balls in the ball washer, guy. Yeah, I'm going there. Probably wears tonic golf shoes. Look, I could go on for days, but that guy, just that guy in general, is an absolute bottom of the barrel scum. Like it was, and we couldn't see Scottie tee off because this guy had his umbrella up. He's sitting in the front row.
Yeah, that was very, very, very tough for sure. And it continued throughout the day. Honestly, there was tons of people out there, and what was worse too is like, so some people were actually aware of their umbrella at least, and so they would like position themselves properly, or like a lot of people, which I didn't even think this would actually work, but it was actually a good idea. They would like hold their umbrella way above their head. And then that actually gave you a sight line to what was going on. So like they were, you know, at least trying to not block people's views. But yeah, the people right on the ropes with like no awareness, of anyone else around them. You're like letting water run off on people. That happened to me multiple times. Bumping into people, blocking people's view, like all of that. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, that's probably the worst one. I'll tell you, my second one was golf shoe guy, like wear golf shoes at a golf tournament that you're not playing in. That was second. Third would probably be what you just said, the guy yelling. I'm not gonna lie, after a couple drinks, I was yelling too, like every once in a while, like not right after shots, but like getting a little loud. But yeah,
I think that's fine. It's the people that yell right after the shot, like they're trying to time it up. That's the people that bother me.
Yeah. But the whole umbrella situation, like it almost led me to like think like I wouldn't be opposed to like no umbrellas at a tournament. I really like. I know that sounds bad and that like may limit some of the fans coming in, but after some of the sight lines and people just having no awareness, like I would be. And look, we didn't carry umbrellas. We probably should have, but we didn't. But that it just like no awareness of people around you. Like, hey, I'm the only guy at this tournament. No, dude, you're one of like 125,000 people that are there that day. Like have a little courtesy, right? Like, especially if you're on the front row, like they were on the front, like right on the ropes. Like they could see everything. They had no problems in the world. Oh, by the way, they're on the ropes and they're dry because they're still have their stupid umbrella up. So yeah, but I figured you would say the guy yelling out right after a shot, but that I have a new one after what we experienced on Friday.
Yeah, the umbrella thing too, this is going to sound really dumb, but like it kind of is like an injury risk or, it's definitely a lightning risk, right? Like if there were to be really inclement weather, you get a bunch of people with umbrellas, like that's mildly dangerous at least. So
yeah,
there is some case to be made. You're right. I think to just like, no spectator umbrellas or whatever. I think another one, it's going to sound very old man of me, but like these golf tournaments they're not freaking tailgates or frat parties or whatever, man. Like you don't got to be mega wasted, falling down the hill, can't even walk. Like there's just a point. Like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, maybe it's just old man of me, but you got to keep it somewhat tidy.
I keep it on the rails, right? Like you can have fun and like we didn't hold back much, right? Like, but like if I felt myself getting to that point where I'm like, dude, I'm going to throw up on the golf course or I'm going to like be unable to like walk, I would have stopped, like there was, we saw a few out there that were like, come on, like, could you imagine like Rory's trying to putt on like hole 6 and it's like you got a dude yakking in the woods over there because he's had $18, $15 Mick Ultras. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, and there were definitely some people out there, but like, I think that's what people forget is like, you can have fun and drink and all that, do all that. Like, there's a line you don't cross. And I think it's like the puking and like the falling and like stumbling around and just being belligerent. That is like, and I think that goes for any sporting event, to be honest, like not just golf, but we saw a few. It gets pretty bad at the Memorial on Saturday. Like there's a lot of that from the times I've been on Saturday. I didn't see a ton out at Valhalla on Friday, but there was definitely a few I saw that I'm like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, let's act like we've had a beer before, kind of thing. But yeah, I could see that being one. I don't think you're old man for that. That's just like a genuine, like, public, like, I don't know, decency thing, right? Like, I don't know. I guess that's the best way to put it.
It's one of those where it's like, don't ruin things for the rest of us, right? Like that's, it's like the kid in kindergarten that, the teacher says everyone be quiet and next person that talks and nobody's going to recess. That's basically what these people are doing.
Yep, exactly. No, I have no problem with that. I would agree with that. And I think that stretches all. You don't want to be the guy that like pukes in the bathroom and like some poor guy making $9 an hour has to clean it up because you couldn't not have 18 beers at a golf tournament, or whatever. That's where I like draw the line. I'm like, when it starts affecting me, then I have a problem. Like, or just other people in general outside of yourself. Like, I don't care how hungover you're going to be in the morning, but like, if it starts affecting people outside of you, that's when I got a problem with it. And we kind of talked about it. Some of the drunk people walking on the hill, it was like, I wasn't more so worried about me falling. I was more worried about them falling and then taking me out. That was I saw where your mind was at when we got done. I'm like, yeah, dude, I was worried about it too. Like there was some like watch me do this. Like I'm a super athlete, but I also have 15 beers in my system, and they were just like rolling down the hill, and it's like, dude, like that's all I need is a torn ACL at a golf tournament because some drunk guy felt like he was athletic enough to walk a muddy hill. But
Yeah. There's true like head on a swivel situation out there, no doubt.
Yeah. But we're mutters though. We are mutters. We are officially mutters. We kept our mutter card. I don't know. We can say the same for some other people. So
yeah, I honestly, yeah, that was the main goal of the whole day was like, do not lose your mutter card on this at this tournament. And we rocked them, baby. We made it.
Yes,
we did it. My shoes are wrecked, but we did it.
Yeah, I threw those shoes away. They're just done. Like it felt like Kevin from The Office when he goes to Jim and Pam's wedding. They're just like, we just threw them away. Like they were beyond saving. Like they were absolutely beyond saving. So.
All right, that's as good a place as any to end this episode. Thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed listening to us talk about the PGA Championship. With a little bit of our golf sprinkled in there, Next week we'll get back to regularly scheduled programming. But until then, we'll see you next time. Cheers.
See ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back 9 Six-Pack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back 9 Six-Pack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.